One thing we haven't really gotten into yet is COVID-19. And this is something that I think we can say that pandemic has severely impacted clinical trials in one way or the other. I don't think there's a pharma company, site, patient, CRO that hasn't been in some way impacted by that. I think the hope right now is that we have a lot of companies right now scrambling to get new technologies in place and to make trials easier on patients, reduce visits to the clinic, and so forth. And I think what's going to be interesting is whether these are temporary fixes that we're going to put in, and once the pandemic passes, they go away, or whether these are going to be permanent, lasting effects that we really change the way we do trials, and that whatever changes we make now, we continue to implement them going forward. Any thoughts on that? Have you spoken to a lot of folks in the industry or have any personal insights into which way that's going to go?
So we're talking to a lot of people. As you can imagine, there's a lot of COVID studies being run by our customers and running through our software. So we see a lot of what's going on in the COVID world right now. And so the first thing you said is absolutely true. The impact is unbelievable. There's a lot of companies that have stopped enrolling in existing trials, delayed the starts of new trials, changing the way that visits are done in existing trials that are running. FDA has been quick on guidance, allowing certain things to happen. So there's been a huge reaction to COVID, obviously. The other thing I see that's going on that you never saw before is an amazing amount of collaboration between pharma companies that are working on COVID. They're sharing science, they're sharing experiences, they're offering manufacturing help to others that have, a lead dog in the race. There's so much going on around this, which just makes me smile. I got to be honest, watching this level of talent and expertise to go after a disease, working together is something remarkable that can only happen in this industry. You're not going to see a whole bunch of academics get together and figure this out the same way that you're going to see pharma get together and figure it out. Nothing against the academics in the world. I just see a lot of muscle and horsepower behind what's going on in major pharmaceutical companies. And we all know who's in the game, right? It's no secret who's got COVID trials running. So that's really great. If you get a little lower down, though, you start to see the pickup of virtual trials, the pickup of telemedicine. And that stuff has been talked about for a long time. At the last CNS Summit, we presented some primary research that was done by Kathy Vanderbilt, who works at Oracle, about hybrid trials. And there was a lot of activity going on, but you could break it down to, there was more than I thought, but it was still pilot in most regards, not really sophisticated programs. And that's accelerated. So that talk's been going on for a while. There's been a bunch of companies that have been trying to be in that space, offering certain either devices or connectors or portals, all kinds of things. And so I do think, and this is, what people are telling the industry, and I don't know if it's wishful thinking or not, I do think that a lot of this stuff is going to stick. I think that virtual trials are going to become something that, or hybrid trials are going to become something that is going to be thought of more mainstream than it was before, because suddenly it works, right? Suddenly telemedicine works. If you walk away from clinical trials, if you were to Google, telemedicine, every cancer center is now offering virtual visits to help you diagnose cancer without going to the brick and mortar has sprung up around telemedicine, that I think it's going to just stick. And I think it's going to change the way trials are potentially run going forward. Now, keep in mind, it takes a while because you have to start at the protocol. You can't take trials midstream and suddenly flip them on their ear unless you absolutely have to. But I think you'll start to see new trials emerging that take advantage of this stuff. Just like, in our business, and I'm sure in many businesses, virtual meetings, Zoom, has become a way of life. Will we snap back to always being in person and getting on airplanes for 30-minute meetings? I don't think so. I think this whole world's going to change, and COVID's going to have it within businesses everywhere, not just the way the trials are conducted. But I would expect, because it's just better in many ways, that a lot of this stuff will stick going forward. And I think it's a good thing. There's a lot of unmet needs. I would love to see Alzheimer's, for example, being treated like COVID. It's a national health crisis. Let's all get together and try to figure out how to solve it, right? So, be great.